Hegseth war crimes allegations. According to detailed reporting in The Times, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is now at the center of a possible war crime scandal, and even some Republicans are backing away from Hegseth. Here's the core allegation. A U.S. missile strike blows up a suspected drug boat in the Caribbean. Surveillance shows survivors clinging to burning debris. A second strike kills them. Pentagon law of war rules state that orders to fire upon the shipwrecked are clearly illegal. It is, in fact, a violation of international law. If a jury ever finds that Hegseth ordered or condoned that second strike on men out of the fight, that fits the textbook definition of a war crime under U.S. law and international law, I should point out. Meanwhile, Hegseth is posting cartoon memes, including a children's turtle gleefully firing rockets at drug boats and joking about the killings online. Senator Mark Kelly, a former Navy combat pilot, says Hegseth, quote, runs around on a stage like he's a 12-year-old playing Army, and, quote, should have been fired after Signalgate and every single day after that. Even Donald Trump now insists he wouldn't have wanted the second strike. A classic sign a president is getting ready to toss a loyalist overboard. Okay, so what's the real message here? Pete Hegseth, if not an out-and-out war criminal, is clearly demonstrated he is an out-and-out incompetent. To quote Senator Mark Kelly, Pete Hegseth, you are not a serious person. Let's dig a little bit deeper here. Now, there have been a number of people in the last few weeks who said Senator Mark Kelly, whom Hegseth is now attempting to investigate and possibly court-martial, he should be the real Secretary of Defense. And I think if and when a Democrat ever becomes president again, there's certainly a good chance that Mark Kelly will be on the short list to be the next Secretary of Defense. But he's not going to be one anytime soon. And in fact, he could, because of the retribution tendencies of the administration, find himself court-martialed for simply stating the law. So to give you a little backstory, again, Pete Hegseth is very angry at Mark Kelly for putting out a video reminding people the law, which is if you're an officer or you're in the military and you're given an illegal order, you have the right and the obligation to refuse to carry out an illegal order. Something that basic recruits are taught in basic training. For stating a fact, Pete Hegseth is saying that's a crime and he will investigate. Well, Pete Hegseth may start to become someone on the opposite end of investigation. Instead of just firing people willy-nilly, as he's been doing during his sort of crazed, mayhem-filled tenure as the Secretary of Defense, he may start to get investigated because there are now members of the Republican Party in Congress who are saying, wait a minute, this is too far, even for us. We're not coddling drug criminals and terrorists, but to just go around shooting boats where we don't really have any evidence that these people are committing crimes is one thing. Now, many, many legal experts say it's wrong and against international law to just shoot and blow up a boat full of people because you think maybe they kind of sort of look like drug dealers. So that alone is bad enough. But that's not what is getting everyone's attention right now with Hegseth. There are reports from reputable places and sources saying that Hegseth was alerted that the boat was blown up, but there were apparently a couple of survivors sort of hanging on to the remaining shards of the boat, kind of like Leo DiCaprio in Titanic. And the order was given, blow them all up, kill them all. Now that's a violation of every imaginable war crime you can commit. You're not supposed to kill people who are no longer in the fight. Someone's pointing a gun at you or about to throw a grenade at you and you're in a war zone. Yes, you have the right to kill them and to kill them first. But if someone has no more weaponry, they have no bullets left, they have no access to guns or bombs or even drugs, they're literally hanging on to your life, for their life. It is against international law to then blow them up and kill them. That's not how civilized people are supposed to operate. And what we get from Hegseth is a bunch of name-calling and cartoons. He's posting cartoons on social media, laughing at this. For his critics who simply point out that soldiers have the right and obligation not to follow illegal orders. He calls them the seditious six. Well, isn't that Trumpian with your nice little alliteration? So this may be the thing that gets Pete Hegseth tossed aside. Now, here's the problem with anyone who's wildly incompetent and the Trump administration from the standpoint of the rest of us citizens. Trump doesn't like to fire people in general. I know he made a name for himself doing that on The Apprentice, but as a practical matter, people who worked for him over the years said he was too weak to do that. He didn't really like to fire people. He let people do that behind the scenes when he wasn't around. He especially doesn't like to fire anybody where there is broad agreement from centrist, mainstream media, moderate Democrats, and those on the liberal progressive left side of things think is wildly incompetent and hate. And that clearly fits the bill for Pete Hegseth, because I'm not aware of any centrist of either political party or mainstream Democrat or Republican who doesn't think this person is profoundly unfit for office. Yes, many Republicans held their nose and voted for him, and he was confirmed only by J.D. Vance's tie-breaking vote in the Senate. They voted for him because they felt like, I don't want to receive Trump's wrath. So they voted for him. But they really don't think he's competent. And certainly Democrats, liberals, the left, the MSNBC crowd, they think this guy is a pathetic joke. So Trump doesn't ever like to make those people feel good. So there's a part of him that says, wow, if the people who hate me hate this guy, I love him even more. So Hegseth does have that to his credit. But the one thing that at least most Americans can sort of appreciate right now is he does have no loyalty. Trump has no loyalty to anyone but himself. So if it looks like more Republicans are coming after Hegseth and saying he did something illegal, committed war crimes, and there's any kind of momentum to get rid of him, you can bet that Trump is going to say, hey, I don't even know the guy. I never met the guy. And he will be tossed aside quickly. He'll send the chief of staff or someone to do the dirty work. He won't do it in person. I initially thought, okay, maybe Pete Hegseth is going to get a pass for an extraordinarily stupid, superficial reason, but I have to share with you my thinking. My thought was, I'm thinking of back in his first term and even his second term. When has Trump ever fired a thin guy with good hair? I know it sounds ridiculous, but these are the times we live in. He got rid of people like Mike Pompeo, his former Secretary of State, who was at the time a really, really heavy guy with not particularly good hair. He's fired a bunch of people. But then I had to correct myself, because he did, in fact, fire Anthony Scaramucci, his communications director, for all of 11 days. And Scaramucci does have good hair. So I checked myself on that. So that, even having great hair, by the way, it is the sole reason Pete Hegseth got the job, or the perhaps largest contributor to it, because Trump liked the way this guy looked talking tough on Fox News as a weekend anchor. He liked the hair. He liked the slick back hair. Reminded him, I guess, of Don Jr. and Eric. And he liked the fact that he was thin and in shape, a manly man. But I don't think that's going to help Pete Hegseth. I'm not predicting he gets fired in the next day or two, but if even a couple more Republicans, especially senators, say to Trump, this guy's got to go, or we're going to have to really make a big deal out of it, Trump will get rid of Hegseth faster than you can say a slick back hair.